Hello, this is Tasha from Sensi, and today I'm going to read you part one of a book called The Aardvark, Who Wasn't Sure. Now, this is Pim, and he is a baby aardvark with a long, furry nose, and he has tiny little claws instead of fingers and toes. So, let's begin. This is the first chapter. Pim was an aardvark. His mother said so. But Pim was a very new aardvark and was not at all sure what he was. At first, he didn't care very much. He lived in his cosy dark burrow, and his mother fed him warm milk when he was hungry. Between his feeds, he just slept, like most babies. But as he grew bigger, he began to notice things. One day, he woke up to find that his mother wasn't there. He had thought that she was always with him. He shuffled around the burrow, looking for her, but he couldn't find her. Then he found a sort of sloping tunnel. Perhaps she was up there. He began to shuffle along it. Then he heard scraping sounds. Something was coming down the tunnel towards him. He backed into the burrow just in time. His mother burst in, nearly knocking him over. "Pim," she said, "you're supposed to be asleep." "You were supposed to be here," shouted Pim, who had been rather frightened. "Where have you been?" "Where have I been? Getting food, of course. I have to eat sometimes," his mother said. "Food?" said Pim. "Termites," said his mother. "You have milk now, but when you're bigger, you'll eat termites." "Why?" said Pim. "Why will I eat termites?" "Because you're an aardvark. Aardvarks eat termites. Now, do you want your feed, or are you going to be asking silly questions all night?" said his mother. Pim was hungry, so he had his feed. But as soon as his tummy felt full, he asked the question that was bothering him. "What's termites?" "Go to sleep," said his mother. "You'll find out soon enough." "But what are they like?" Pim asked. I only want to know." "Oh dear," said Pim's mother. "I have a feeling you're the kind who never stops wanting to know." "Well," said Pim, "what's termites?" "What are termites?" his mother corrected him. "Crawly things. They're very much like ants. They live in a big nest that we have to rip open. They're nice, termites. They're kind of soft and juicy. You'll like them." "Rip open their nests?" said Pim. "How?" "With the claws on our front feet. We're very strong, you know," said his mother. "How do I know I'm very strong?" said Pim doubtfully. "Because you're an aardvark. Now, go to sleep," said his mother. By this point, Pim was very sleepy and dropped off almost at once. That evening, his mother had a surprise for him. "Would you like to come with me tonight?" she asked him. I think it's time that you saw the world outside. Oh, yes, said Pim. Can I eat some termites? Well, I don't think so, his mother said. I shouldn't think you'd like them yet, but you can watch me so that you know what to do when you're big enough to get them for yourself. So, a little later, Pim the Aardvark followed his mother up the tunnel and stepped out just a little way into the African night. As far as the land stretched out flat and empty. The world is very big, Pim said, moving closer to his mother. It is, she said. Now, be very quiet and listen. We have to see if it's safe to go out. Pim's mother stood very still and pricked up her long ears. Pim copied her. At first, he could hear nothing, but soon he became aware of a soft, swishing noise all around them. He looked at his mother. It didn't seem to be bothering her. What's that? He asked her. That whispering. Just the grasses, she said. Suddenly, there was a muffled roar, and then again. What's that? Said Pim, quivering all over. A lion, she said. It's all right. It's a long way away. I don't think it will bother us. Now, let's see if you can run. Pim's mother began to move forward in a shambling gallop. Pim didn't know how to begin. He stood transfixed for a second, unable to move. Then he heard the lion roar again. Pim found that he could run. They travelled across the ground for some way. Pim's mother lolloping gently so that Pim could keep up with her. Pim began enjoying it. There was much more fun than staying at home in the earth burrow. They passed a few scrubby trees. Then they came to some huge humps in the ground of all shapes and sizes. Pim's mother stopped suddenly in front of the very biggest one. This will do, she said. Now, watch. Pim watched as his mother began to tear at the side of the hump with her powerful claws. Soon she had made a gaping hole. Then Pim saw a termite and another and another. They came pouring out of the hole in a panic. They didn't like having their nest broken into like this. Mrs. Aardvark began shooting out her long, sticky pink tongue and licking them up. Tongueful after tongueful after tongueful of termites disappeared like magic. Then she pushed her long muzzle right into the nest, through the hole that she'd made, to lick up the rest of the termites. Pim was amazed. Although the termites were tiny, they had very fierce faces, and he wouldn't fancy putting his nose right inside one of those nests. Still, if that's what Aardvarks did, he would have to learn how to do it. He put his tongue out and looked down at it. Yes, it was very long and pink and curly at the end, just like his mother's. When his mother turned around, her dinner finished, She found him sitting on his tail, pulling faces. He was trying to shoot his tongue in and out, keeping his eyes on it all the time. This gave him a terrible squint. "What are you doing?" asked his mother. "I'm practicing being an aardvark," said Pim with dignity. He stopped and looked at his mother. "Do you really like termites?" he said. "They look horrible to me." "Delicious," said his mother. "That was a lovely dinner. But I expect you'd rather have some milk, wouldn't you? Come on then, let's go home." So Pim and his mother galloped home across the ground. Pim was very tired after his first outing. He slept all day and all night. When he woke up, his mother was just coming back from her night's termite hunt. Pim was furious. "You went without me," he shouted. "You left me behind." "Yes, dear," said his mother. "You were fast asleep, and I thought that it would be best if I left you." "I wanted to come. You should have waited for me." Pim was very disappointed, which was why he was so cross. "Aren't you hungry?" said his mother, who understood. "Come, have your feed, and then you can go up the tunnel and sit in the sun and watch the world go by for a little while if you like." This seemed like a very nice idea. Pim was hungry, very hungry. He settled down for a good feed, and soon he felt much better. "I'm sorry I was so cross," he said, looking up at his mother. "But it's so dull in this old hole." "Ah, this dull old hole is safe," Mrs. Aardvark said. "Remember that. You may go up the entrance now, but stay close to it. There's nothing like a dull old hole to dive into in times of danger." Pim set off up the tunnel. When he came out at the top, he couldn't see at all at first. The sun was very bright, and he sat down on his tail and blinked hard. His ears pricked up to listen for danger. He wasn't sure what danger would sound like, but the grunting sounds he heard didn't sound very dangerous. As his eyes became used to the sunlight, he saw that the grunts were coming from a band of animals which were moving around and pulling up the grass heads and the other plants. They were stuffing these into their mouths with their forefeet, which were much more bendy than Pim's. He tried to pull up a plant with one of his front paws, but he couldn't get hold of it at all. Oh well, if they ate plants, they probably didn't eat aardvarks, he thought. Pim settled down to doze in the sun. Suddenly, a voice said, "Hello," right by his ear. Pim sat up quickly and backed towards his burrow. He saw that one of the animals that he had been watching had come up to him. He was quite small. Hello, what are you?" Pim asked. "I'm a baboon, a sort of monkey, my uncle says. What are you?" "An aardvark," Pim replied. A what? An odd what?" The little baboon was staring at Pim as if he had never seen anything quite like him. An aardvark, said Pim clearly. A very new aardvark. Oh, I am a very new baboon, said the funny little animal. Very new. I don't know anything about anything yet. Neither do I, said Pim, who liked his new friend, except that my mother eats termites. Where do you live? Where? Said the little baboon, puzzled. Well, everywhere. We move about all the time, looking for food. At least the grown-ups in the group do. I have milk from my mother. I really like that. So do I, said Pim. But where do you sleep to be safe? Haven't you got a hole? A hole? Said the baboon in surprise. No, we go up into some rocks or, a tree to rest. Different ones every day, said Pim. That must be interesting. I live in the same old hole all of the time. He nodded towards his burrow. Under the ground? The baboon peered down it doubtfully. Haven't you ever been up a tree? A tree? Pim asked. I'm not sure. Those are trees over there. The little baboon pointed up to them. There's my uncle. He's on the top of the tall one. He's the lookout today. Which reminds me, my mother will be looking out for me. Just at that moment, the baboon up the tree began to make sharp barking noises. All the other baboons began to rush about, barking too. A lion! Squeaked Pim's new friend. Oh dear, I want my mother. Oh, here she is. A big baboon rushed up to them. The baby scrambled onto her back and hung onto her fur. He rode her like a jockey rides a horse as she rushed back to the troop. They all banded together in one big family. There were other babies on their mothers' backs as well as Pim's friend, and they rushed off towards the trees, barking hard. What a fuss! All Pim had to do was go down his tunnel. And so he did. His mother opened one eye. What's the matter? She said. Lion, said Pim. The baboons warned me. Ah, she said. You learned about the baboons. They are a help. When baboons bark, you dive for home, or if you're too far away, you dig a hole quickly. Baboons climb trees. Why don't we climb trees? Pim said. We can't climb trees. What are you doing? You're scratching me. Pim was trying to pull himself up onto his mother's back, but he kept sliding down onto her tail. You're the wrong shape, he complained. I want to ride like baboons have. I am not a baboon, said Pim's mother. I am a tired aardvark. Now, go to sleep if you want to come with me tonight. Pim did want to, so he curled himself up into a little ball to sleep. But there was something else that he wanted to ask. Why don't we live in a big family with lots of others instead of just by ourselves? He knew the answer, though. It was because he was an aardvark. Pim went to sleep. And that is the end of part 1 of our story. I will see you next time for part 2. Bye-bye.